Hi, my name is Armand Shah, president of KITE, and welcome back to the KITE Free Python course. In this video, we're going to finally finish learning about lists. So to start us off on lists, I'm going to go over a simple program we could run to find a certain word and print that certain word in a file. So again, we're going to use this mbox short file, and as you can see, it's just an email chain. And I wanted to get the days, specifically the days of each from. So if I find it, let's try to find one. Right here we have a from, right here, string. So each line has from, and I want to get the days. Right here, the third word is Thursday, which is the day. So I want to get the day it was sent, which is going to be the third word, and each from line. And this pattern is going to continue. If we look at another from line, like right here, we have the third word is, again, the day. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first read each line in the file. Then I'm going to strip the white space in the file. Remember, this is a string, so we're going to strip the white space. And now I'm going to look for each word that starts with from. So I'm saying if the line does not start with from, I'm going to continue. Remember, the continue function simply means that we're going to end this iteration and go to the next iteration in the line. So if the line doesn't start with from, it's going to go to the next line in this for loop. And then we're going to split. If then this function means that the line starts with from, it's not going to continue, and it's going to go to the next line of code, this line of code right here, and it's going to split the string. It's going to split the line into a list. So for example, let's run the code and see what happens. So right here, we have the split line because these are all of them that start with from. And we have, again, the third item in that list is the date that we want. We could also get the month if we wanted, or even the time if we wanted, or the year if we wanted, or the email if we wanted. But right now, the third item in that list is gonna be that day. That day, and I want that day. So instead of printing the whole string, I'm going to say print words in the iteration 2, which is going to be the third item in that list. So if we run that, we're going to get the days of each sender of the email. So now we're going to go over the objects and values and the difference between really lists and the other objects we've been learning. So we've been kind of using objects and values interchangeably, but now we're going to kind of see the difference. So when we create a variable, let's say a equals banana, this is a string obviously, b equals banana, and we ask Python if a is equal to b, using this boolean a is b, we get the boolean true, that a is equal to b because they have the same value. That means they are the same object. Although lists work a little bit differently. Let's say we say a equals 1, 2, 3, the list 1, 2, 3, and b equals 1, 2, 3. In this case, when we prompt the Python command a is b, we get the boolean false. So with lists, we could say that they have the same value, but they are different objects. If we say a is 1, 2, 3 and b is 1, 2, 3, they're going to be different objects despite them having the same value. So we cannot interchangeably use variables because they are different objects. Lists are different objects, unlike strings. So building off these different objects that lists create, we could actually solve this by something called aliasing, and we're going to go over what it is. So let's say we have a list a equals 1, 2, 3. Now if we say that b equals a, and we prompt for the boolean is b equal to a, we're obviously going to get true because we're directly setting the variables, the objects, equal to each other. So because of this, they're going to have the same value and different references. So unlike strings, what lists have is they have this aliasing feature, which means because we set b equal to a, now they are the same object, and they can be used interchangeably to manipulate this list. That's important. I'm going to repeat that. These b or a can be used interchangeably to manipulate this list. It's like this list over here, 1, 2, 3, has two references, a or b, and you could use either one. For example, let's look at this example. Let's say I want to set b, the first item in the list, 1 to 17. So I'm going to say b0 equals 17. That means this list over here will be 17, 2, 3. But because B and A have the same reference, or the aliasing this list, we could actually print A and we'll get that 1723. Again, we can manipulate this list over here by using either one of the variables, because both of these variables are the same object 1, 2, 3, the same list. So we could use the variables interchangeably to manipulate the list. So over here, we're going to create a function to delete the first item or the head of the list. And as you can see, we define delete head, and then we're going to have an argument over here. We're going to take, a parameter. We're going to take the parameter t, which is going to be the list. And we're going to say that the parameter t is going to delete the first item or the head of the list. So here's how it's going to work. Let's say we have a list letters A, B, C. Now we're going to delete the head. So we're going to put delete head, and we're going to put the argument of the list, which is t, but we're going to put letters because that's going to be the arguments or the list that we want to delete. We're going to put delete letters, and then it will delete the first one. Now we got to print it though, because it's not gonna. This returns none. The function returns none. Just deletes the head. So it's important to distinguish between operations and lists that modify lists and operations that create new lists. So some operations, and let's focus on the append one for now, which is right here. Let's focus on this box, the append method. So that append method would modify a list. And what we mean by modify a list would mean that the append method permanently changes a list by simply appending something and doesn't create a new variable or create something new. So for example, let's say we had a variable t1 that has list 1, 2. Now let's say that we say t2 equals t1 that append 3. So what's going to happen here? Well, you might think that it's going to create a new list t2 that has 1, 2, 3. The list 1, 2, 3, which is incorrect, because if we remember from the last lesson, t1 to append 3 will return none. t1 to append 3 returns none, but simply appends. Remember, it's a method, so it will append 3 to the t1 list. Because t1 dot append 3 returns none, what it does is it modifies a list. It will add t3 to the list, as we can see over here. But t2, because we're setting it equal to the append method, will return none. As I said, the append method returns none itself. There's no value to the append method apart from it appending the list right here. So something that creates new lists, however, is the addition operator. So the addition operator, let's look at this part over here, will permanently create a new list. So let's say we say t3 equals t1 plus, remember t1 is 1 and 2, plus 3. Let's print t3, and we're getting at 1, 2, 3. So this is very simple. It's going to create a whole, it's fairly self-explanatory. It's going to create a whole new list, 1, 2, 3. And obviously t1 will still remain its same value of 1, 2, and then plus the added 3 now for t3. So t3 will be 1, 2, 3, t1 will be 1, 2 still, and that's why t1 is not t3, as you can see by this boolean over here. So it's important when we're writing functions to know which ones modify lists and ones that create new lists, as well, as we can see by the example over here. So over here we want to again delete the head of a list, and before we just did that by using the delete operation, but over here we could also, or logically, kind of just set the list equal to the list and then 1 to the list. So the index of everything but the first item in the list, which seems logical, but actually this won't work. This will actually return none if we print it out. So let's go to my replit. So over here in replit, we see that when we did that same exact function where we set the list equal to everything in the list but the first item, let's run it, and we're gonna get none. And the reason we get that is because we're kind of creating a new list, a new variable, a new object by setting it equal to each other. Instead, what we should do is we should say return t to 1 in the function. Now if we run that, we'll get 2, 3, which is everything but the head. So these are some exercises that I recommend doing. So thank you for joining us in this video in the KITE Python course. If you have any questions, make sure to check our Discord server. Over there you could ask questions in open forums. You could also correct or check your exercises there as well. Also, make sure to follow our new Instagram and even Facebook account. Thank you.